We're going to open it up to questions from the audience. Feel free to stand up, maybe even come to the middle if you wish. I apologize that it's a fairly large room and we don't have a PA available today, but we're open for questions, so feel free.
Hey Galen, Matt Hawkins is my name. I'd like to thank the panelists for coming, Galen and Justine Peterson, for having such an event and being courageous enough to be on the forefront of these issues and to jump out there to help people even when it wasn't popular. I remember us talking about this years ago when the conversation was still about poverty, not about capital and building infrastructure in the community. So just thank you, Galen, for staying on it and bringing these esteemed people together. My question is about, not really so much as access to capital, but I want to talk about Jose's point about education and why a lot of these subjects, these basic subjects, have been left out of our public school curriculums.
Anyone.
Well, and we've been reaching out to their local schools. Unfortunately, just about 2 years ago, the state of Missouri just passed the requirement for all high school schools to teach financial education, but it's mandatory towards the last year in high school. To me, I think they should start it on first year.
8th grade, maybe?
I mean, I teach my kids on, basic on savings.
Because the tax code is written on the 8th grade level, right?
I mean, we can, petition, some changes there, but to me, the most common issues I face when I teach the financial class is, oh, I didn't know it was like that. And nobody taught them. So if we were to come up with a practical action plan, we start with education and teaching them the basics.
I'll keep this brief, but many of the chairs that you're sitting in today are from the Clyde Miller Academy across the street, and the reason is that we hosted their entrepreneurship judging contest on Friday of last week, and it continues tomorrow on Tuesday, so we're going to be using the chairs. But it's part of their financial literacy program, which actually does include looking at credit scores, because we've been very concerned here at Justine Peterson that the whole idea of credit scores and having a high credit score is not being communicated by the time you're 18, so you're ready to go. And so I do think we're moving forward on that. You're on the east side, though, and I'm not sure what's required in Illinois. When I went to high school, and that was a little while ago, we didn't talk about credit scores in Illinois at all. So, in fact, I think we struggled with even balancing checkbooks in our consumer education class. So hopefully we've made some progress on that.
Okay.
Herman Betts is my name. I've heard a lot about the whole banking information that I hadn't kind of privy to over a period of time. Learned quite a bit from all of you folk here. I was amazed that I got surprised by being invited to this meeting, and I have to thank Galen and them for making this possible. I got a twofold question. We have talked about accessing capital. We've talked about local interest in banking in relationship to community banks not being or being absorbed by the 10 banks. You say, I think it was 10 out of that controls the total 75% of the financial market today. And the too big to fail concept that is being flourished around the national area, and that's been bailed out and so forth and so on. Now, with all of these things happening, the first part of my question is, new regulations that are being proposed, and do you believe that the new regulations can be of advantage to the small businesses in combating some of the problems that has happened or the system that is broken now? And secondly, I don't know if it was Mr. Berry or Mr. Davis raised the question about what we need to do is to organize in some effort and sort of like compete with the big folk in relationship to financial business. Is that, am I quite understanding that? Yes, okay. Okay, if that's the case, would micromanaging companies like Justin Peterson be that kind of organizing arm that could help aid and assist the small business in such a manner to be more accessible to the capital market or the financial market capabilities? That's my second question.
I'll let them answer as far as Justine Peterson as an organization. I personally do not think that what's going on in DC right now, financial reform, will make any real difference. And I say that because the same people who caused the current crisis are the people who are fixing it now. I mean, that's unfortunate. And the other thing, and the reason why I say that small business needs to organize is because there are, whenever you have legislation moving in Congress, you have, particularly in the financial area, you have very powerful interests who are spending millions and millions of dollars to get their issues addressed in that legislation. So for small business, and in particular for minority and women-owned businesses to think that they will be served by the financial reform that's going on when they don't have advocacy there, I think is naive. So I don't think it's going to make any difference at all.
I'm going to let Rob Boyle, our CEO. Rob, you want to address the second half of that question? Were you able to hear that?
I'd be happy to address it, but I didn't
Oh, sure,
but I
sure.
didn't hear it.
Essentially, the role of the CDFI.
Yeah, you know,
possibly
good.
in
I'm glad we're
making
speaking
dollars
to this.
available.
Yeah. I'll be brief, but both Clifton and Eddie spoke to this in significant ways. My view is that, first of all, at the local level, we really have to focus our relationships with the banks. The Community Development Financial Institution comes out of the Department of Treasury. It was established during the Clinton years, and Clinton himself realized that a national, federal notion of community banking is really going to get us where these two gentlemen spoke. And I think what we have to do is begin to incentivize local institutions, local banks, to invest in operations such as both nonprofit and for-profit community development institutions who actually do the work on a daily basis and know how to make loans and are successful. I'm not talking about giving away money, but we're talking about transferring activities, as again the gentleman noted, from the larger institutions to more local institutions. And that's really, by the way, in terms of action, and EHOC and the organization that it has inspired, SLECRA, is beginning to operate in very specific ways with specific banks to suggest how we can do that. And Justine Peterson and Great Rivers Community Capital, our CDFI, is really proud to be part of that. And we're seeing action and movement on that front. So again, it's really, really important that we continue to move that way. The state of Missouri also is a very important actor. And I know that that Eddie's been in discussions with the treasurer, the state treasurer's office. Now, how successful those have been, I'm not sure. They can only be successful if we continue to push on them, as again we've talked about.